You know what's crazy? Most people think they're making their own choices in life, but if you look a little closer, you will see that it's not really you who's pulling the strings. It's your family. It's your culture. It's the invisible rules you never signed up for, but you've been living by them your entire life. And if you've been wondering why no matter how much you try or how hard you work, you seemingly keep hitting a wall when it comes to money, lifestyle, or even the relationships that you actually want, there's a high chance that this hidden programming is the thing that's holding you back. And I promise you, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So stay with me until the end of this video. So there's this old little story that explains this perfectly, right? So a mother and her daughter are cooking turkey together, and the mom slices off both ends of the turkey before putting it in the oven. The little girl sees that and asks, "Mom, why did you cut off the ends of the turkey?" And the mom goes, "Well, I don't know, honey. That's just how my mom taught me. That's just how we always did it." And so they call grandma. "Grandma, why do we always cut off both ends of the turkey before cooking it?" And grandma says, "Oh, darling, that's just how my mom always did it." Now, finally, they call great grandma. She answers the phone, they ask her the same question, and she starts laughing. And she says, "Sweetheart, the only reason we cut off both ends of the turkey is because back in my day, our oven was too small to fit the whole bird." And see, without realizing, that's exactly what so many of us are doing with our own lives. We are following invisible rules, unspoken instructions that were never ours to begin with. They're outdated. They don't even make sense anymore. And yet we let them dictate how we live our lives. See, your unconscious mind's number one priority is survival. And for the majority of human history, survival meant fitting in with your own tribe, right? If you got out of line, you risk losing love, connection, even safety. And this is something that's deeply ingrained in us. So the way our minds started working, especially in our developing years, is we started thinking things like, well, if I upset my family, I might get abandoned. And if that happens, I might die. Which is quite problematic considering that most of us growing up heard things like, well, who do you think you are wanting more money than the rest of us? Or don't get too big for your boots, life will humble you. Or money doesn't grow on trees, you know? Or people like us don't live like that. Or maybe when you were a kid, you saw what happened to someone in your family who dared to stand out. Like, I remember a few years ago when I was doing a business challenge. I walked up to this young guy in the city center of London, and I asked him if he was open to making some extra income on the side of whatever it is he was doing at the time. I don't remember. And he asked me a couple questions. We went back and forth for a while just so he can fully understand it. And then suddenly he bursts out, "I don't believe that. That's not possible." And I'm like, "Okay, what do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, it's not possible to make a lot of money without any consequences." And without even knowing too much about this type of inner work back then, or about how we can organize our entire identity or life around certain wounds that we incurred when we were little, I asked him, "Did something happen in your childhood that caused you to believe this?" He went, "Yes." And then he proceeded to tell me how one of his uncles was very rich. And when he went on a boat trip once with his wife, allegedly, his own wife took his life for the inheritance. Now, I didn't ask any details of how it all went down, was it even true, why they thought it was the wife who was guilty of it in the first place. But see, the interesting thing about it is it doesn't even matter, because regardless of what happened, it was true for them. And that was enough to equate having a lot of money to potential danger. And that became his filter. He started filtering opportunities through that belief. You can't be seen. You can't be wealthy. You can't stand out. Otherwise, you're a target. Now, maybe nothing dramatic like that happened in your life, but you've probably experienced something else. So now, every time you think about leveling up, like earning more money, creating that freedom lifestyle, attracting that relationship that you really want, your unconscious whispers, "Careful. If you go for this, you might lose love. You might lose your place in the tribe. They will think you're greedy. They will think you're not one of us anymore. Maybe you'll end up alone." And it's subtle, right? You don't sit there thinking those words consciously every day, but it's in your body. It shows up as hesitation or procrastination. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," it shows up as settling for just enough money, or staying in a safe, lukewarm relationship instead of going for the kind you actually desire. It's not that you don't know how to change your life. It's that part of you is afraid of the cost of breaking these rules that you grew up with. So what exactly is this invisible programming? Well, It's not just beliefs, it's an identity. You were actually born limitless. Then piece by piece, you build an identity based on rules that weren't even yours. Rules like don't outshine your siblings. Money is hard to make and only certain people deserve it. Don't speak up unless you're 100% sure you're right. Or it's safer to stay small than risk failure or criticism. These rules got wired into your nervous system, and now, in the background, they quietly dictate what feels safe for you to have. You might dream of making, 20, 30, 50K months, but if the old programming says that kind of money would make me greedy or unlovable, your unconscious will sabotage the plan before you ever get close. Not because you're broken or even because you lack belief in yourself, but because your identity is structured to keep you aligned with the tribe, with the family system you grew up in. Even if that means staying broke or being stressed or being invisible. One thing I always mention is that success isn't personal, it's structural. Meaning you don't get the life you want because you're good enough or because you're deserving enough. You get it because your internal structure allows it. Right now, if you never address this, chances are your structure is still following a family rulebook you never chose in the first place. So when you go for something big, the beliefs that were planted in your mind when you were small pull you back. Not even necessarily because you couldn't achieve it, but because your old identity doesn't have any proof that it's safe yet. And it's just afraid that you wouldn't belong to your family if you did achieve it. And that's where most self-help fails you, because it tells you to just be positive, just take more action, just visualize success. But that doesn't work long term. If your core structure, if your core belief that you built your entire identity around says success equals danger, you'll either grind yourself into burnout trying to earn it, or you will get close, but then you will panic and find a way to mess it up. I'm sure you've seen this pattern before. Someone grows their business fast and then mysteriously loses it all. Someone finally finds a great partner, then finds ways to push them away. See, that's exactly the invisible programming at work that we're talking about here. It's not fate or bad luck or any of that garbage. It's old, unchosen identity patterns that are running your life on autopilot. So how do you change it? How do you stop cutting the ends of your turkey? Well, first, you have to see the rule for what it is. It's just a learned pattern. It's not a law of life. Anytime you're about to make a major decision, ask yourself why you're thinking like that. What voices are suggesting you to act one way or another? Because the moment you shine a light on it, you will realize it's probably not you. You just adopted the thinking of your parents because at the time you didn't know any better. So awareness is key. Secondly, you start taking the next obvious action step towards what you truly want. Not toward what you think will keep everyone else happy, but toward your dream. The money, the lifestyle, the love you actually crave. And as you do that, you will most likely feel resistance. So just know that that's the old identity. That's the inherited fear trying to protect you. Now that's where the deeper work comes in. Letting go of those energy blocks, stepping out of the version of you that has to fit in, and choosing the version of you that creates freely. Because the truth is, you're not here to replay your family script. You're here to write your own story. Now this is exactly what I help people with every day. So if you've been feeling that invisible force holding you back, the fear of being too much or the guilt of wanting more money or more freedom than your family ever had, and you're ready to finally break that pattern, this is exactly what we do inside my program. We uncover those hidden rules, let go of the blocks that have been running your life, and help you step into the version of you that doesn't just dream of next level wealth and love, but actually lives it. Now, if you're open to seeing how I can help you do that, check out the first link in the description. It's a short video that explains the process and how we can work together to unlock the life you know you're capable of living. Because once you see these invisible rules for what they are, and you have the tools to let them go, that's when you're ready to become the first person in your bloodline to break the family curse and create generational wealth. I'm rooting for you.